And did he talk to you about who handled the north side of Compton?
Yes, he did. It was an individual who was a former Compton PD officer by the name of Reggie Wright Jr.
I'm going to drop down a little bit here to the part where he talks to you about both him and Mr. Blackman being major suppliers in the Jordan Downs housing project in Watts.
That's correct.
And then he begins to talk to you about the start of Death Row Records.
Again, that was all part of the, overall investigations that we were looking at as far as the gang activity and things of that nature. And he mentioned there was an individual by the name of Harry O that provided money to start the Death Row Records. Also, what's his name? I believe Patrick Johnson provided approximately $80,000. Actually told Davis to give $80,000 that money that Davis owed to Johnson from previous gang transactions to Johnson's girlfriend, so that money could be used to start Death Row Records.
And he also explains Marion Suge Knight's role and his connection to the Blood gang members.
Yes, he did. He said that Marion Knight had gained control of the North Compton drug trade, and that he was associated with a bunch of the Blood Street gang members, like the Mob Pyrus and such. And they were, the Knight was getting them in and out of, getting them out of jail, bailing them out, and they would cooperate with Knight.
And basically, when Knight goes to prison, he tells you Reggie Wright kind of takes over.
Yeah, Reggie Wright Jr. took over the organization after Suge Knight was arrested.
You already mentioned Harry O, but Davis claims to actually be involved in the delivery of some of the money associated with the startup of Death Row Records.
Yes.
Jump down. I'm going to start. You see at the top there. You ask him about his prior relationship with Mr. Knight prior to the murder of Tupac Shakur. You see that paragraph there?
Yeah. I mean, Davis said that he told us that he never had any issues with Suge Knight or any of those individuals prior to the incident in Vegas with the killing of Mr. Shakur.
And Mr. Davis goes on, and I'm going to skip down just a little bit, but he basically accuses two Compton Police Department officers, Sergeant Reynolds and Lieutenant Reggie Wright Sr., the father of Reggie Wright Jr., as basically being corrupt officers.
Yes. Yeah, that Reggie Wright Sr. was a lieutenant with the Compton Police Department, and then Reggie Wright Jr. was a former officer with the police department. He had then started a company called Right Way Security, and that he was working with Suge Knight and Blood doing security, although some claimed it wasn't on an official capacity, for Death Row Records, looking at their parties and such and things like that. And they would, Right Way Security, they would employ Compton PD officers and things of that nature to conduct their business for Mr. Knight.
And he also mentions Omar Bradley. Who's Omar Bradley?
Omar Bradley's former mayor of Compton, the city of Compton. He mentions Mr. Bradley saying that he was associated with Knight and the other Blood Pirate gang members.
Skip through the part. Top of page 4, he provides information, or at least asserts that Reggie Wright Jr. is distributing drugs out of a particular location, and even names some people that are helping with that.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. Had a drug distribution location, an auto body shop called Untouchables, that was located at the corner of Alondra and Washington in the city of Compton. The shop was owned by an individual by the name of Melvin Hurd, and then a guy by the name of G. Ray and Jim helped distribute cocaine from the shop.
He also mentions some people that work for Reggie Wright Jr. and assisting in the cocaine distribution.
Yes, he stated that Reggie Wright Jr. had an individual by the name of Mob James, who was a member of the Mob Piru street gang, individual named Flip, who distributed out of a shop location on Compton Boulevard, and Harris. There was an individual known as Buntree, but we at the time we wrote it out as Bump Tree, but we believe that actually was an individual known as Buntree Al, or
Alton McDonald?
Yes.
Buntree, B-U-N-T-R-Y?
Yes, Alton McDonald, who was the brother of Mob James, which is James McDonald. Also another individual named Trayvon Lane, who was a Mob Pirate gang member, and then Kevin Woods.
And then they can kind of read this themselves, but at some point he talks about an incident that occurs at a neighborhood mall involving a person named Marcus. What does he tell you about that?
Yeah, this was a few weeks before the murder of Tupac Shakur. This individual, Marcus, who was a Southside Crip, was at a mall by himself. Several blood street gang members attacked him and started beating him up. Then an individual, Mr. Orlando Anderson, who was the cousin or nephew of Mr. Davis, observed what was happening and went in to help Marcus, and they beat up and fended off the other gang members.
And then he moves on to describe the incident at the MGM casino the night of Mr. Shakur's murder.
Yes, he did.
And what did he tell you?
He told us the day of the murder of Tupac Shakur that the blood street members, some blood street gang members saw at night. They saw Orlando Anderson. They attacked him because of the previous incident at the mall. After the attack, Mr. Davis, Anderson, Orlando Anderson, and their girlfriends went back up to their hotel room at the Excalibur Hotel, and he said that was it. They didn't have any involvement. They stayed in the room the rest of the night.
He tells you that the room was in Anderson's name.
Yeah, the room was in Anderson's name. That they had driven up to Vegas from the LA area in a Land Cruiser, and that they had some other associates, Corey Edwards, Kevin Davis, Terry Brown, a.k.a. Bubble Up, Big Dre, and Wynn also traveled to Las Vegas. They stayed at the MGM.
And he repeatedly denies to you knowing who killed Tupac Shakur.
Yeah, he said they didn't have any knowledge of what happened, that they weren't involved. He did later speculate that maybe it was some Compton police officers that were working for Suge Knight, and that maybe it was because he had heard that Tupac was talking about possibly leaving Death Row Records or something to that effect. But
his suggestion was that perhaps Knight, who's driving the car, had Compton police officers shoot Tupac in the car Suge's driving.
yes, something to that effect.
I'm going to keep rolling down here. He gets back at page 5 to talking about Zip. So how does he tell you? Well, he talks about Zip and how he becomes associated with the Notorious B.I.G.
Yeah, he said that back in 93, 94, Zip introduced Davis to Notorious B.I.G. at Summer Jam concert. And Davis would associate with Notorious B.I.G. when he was in L.A. area, but they never had any like drug connections or anything like that.
He tells you that he was actually at the Peterson Automotive Museum the night Mr. Wallace was killed,
That's correct. Yes.
and that he saw some, at least people associated with Death Row Records, at that location.
Yeah, he told us that prior to that, the night of the murder, Davis observed some females associated with Death Row Records at the party. He said what, like Jewel, a singer, Lachelle, a comedian for Death Row, and Davis believes that they saw Mr. Wallace at the event, and then called Blood gang members to come. Davis did say he observed Reggie Wright Jr., DJ Quick, who was a performer for Death Row, Theo, a local disc jockey, and about 10 or 11 other Treetop, Fruitown Blood gang members arrived at the event. Davis told Mr. Wallace that they were to watch, that they were there and they should watch out. And then shortly thereafter, Mr. Wallace was shot. But Davis wasn't there; he didn't see who actually shot him.
But once again, he tells you that he believes that Reggie Wright Jr. and Blood gang members are the people that killed Mr. Wallace.
Yes, he said he believed that Reggie Wright Jr. and the Blood gang members associated with him were the ones responsible for killing Notorious B.I.G. When asked who the individual was who actually killed him, based off of there was a composite drawing that was that had been provided and was kind of passed around, so we showed him that. Davis responded that the composite looked just like Reggie Wright Jr.